In this video, I want to talk about this tiger's teeth blade sharpener. Let me show you what it can do. That's not all it can do. It can do a whole lot more, and we're going to talk about it right now. If you're anything like me, you might have something like this. A drawer where you throw all of your old worn-out blades into. I have a bunch of oscillating blades. I have reciprocating saw blades of all kinds. I have miter saw blades, circular saw blades, table saw blades, blades and blades and blades that I just throw in here once they get dull, and I close the drawer and wait for a solution to fall into my lap. Luckily, I think that just happened with the Tiger's Teeth Industries blade sharpener, because this can not only sharpen oscillating tool blades, but it can sharpen all of those, plus things like drill bits and hole saws. And I have to send a huge shout out to James, the inventor of this, for sending this to me for free so I could test it out and make this video. So thank you, James, really appreciate it. And the reason he found me was because I made a video on another product called the Sharpog. And this is another oscillating tool blade sharpener. Really simple design. Bunch of cut-off wheels with spaces in between. Has a shaft where you attach it to a drill. It spins. It sharpens the front and the back of the blades. You kind of match up the teeth. And I wouldn't say it sharpens. It creates new teeth. So these are my attempts. And the thing that I found about it was a little awkward to use because I had to use the drill and hold the blade. So I ended up putting these in a vise. I think the biggest downside to it is that it creates really, really thin teeth and they end up kind of breaking off. I don't think it's a terrible product. I think there's definitely a place for it in the market, but as you saw, it just took a couple seconds to create new teeth for this blade, and already I'm really impressed with this. So we're gonna go through, I'll show you how to sharpen these and all of the other dull blades in your drawer, and I think it's gonna save me a ton of money, and I'm hoping that it'll save you a ton of money. So let's get into it. If you're only interested in sharpening oscillating tool blades or multi-tool blades, then order a standard unit. This is what it comes with, this wheel right here. This wheel is extra, and you can get a whole bunch of different wheels for this. We'll go over the different types of grinding wheels that you can get, but if you do get different wheels, there's a nice little place up here that you can store them. There's a power button right here, and an Allen wrench. It has a little magnet so it doesn't get lost. And this you can use on all of these bolts. They're all the same size. You can use it to remove this fence and to change out these wheels if you do have different wheels. And then you just have your harness right here that goes to a battery adapter. I think that's a cool feature too, is that it's battery powered. You don't have to search for an outlet. Say you're working on a job somewhere and you don't have access to an outlet, you can just pick the adapter that matches your cordless tool brand and use one of those batteries. So they have a ton of different adapters on there. Just pick the one that works for you. Let's talk about some of the different grinding wheels that you can get for this. And the one that's on here has a bevel, and this is made for steel, as well as the one that comes standard. That is also made for steel. And you can get ones that are made for carbide teeth like this. This is a diamond grinding wheel. I'll talk about the difference in a minute. This is a diamond wheel that does not have the bevel. And then you have these that are just really thin. So if you have a ton of teeth that are really close together, these would be handy for that. All kinds of different uses. It depends on what you need, but these are some examples of what you can get with this. So there's two types of grinding wheels. There's a diamond wheel, and then there is cubic boron nitride, or CBN. I'm not going to claim to know exactly what those words mean, but I know that those are for steel and diamond is for carbide. You don't want to mix the two up or you could burn out the wheels potentially. You can take a look right here. For instance, on this oscillating blade, it says carbide teeth right here. And more than likely, that's what you're gonna see because the companies advertise this like crazy. Another way to tell is that it's like a strip, a different colored strip here. So like the gold right here and a little past, but all of that strip right there is carbide. If you can't read, like this is worn off, you can see one of the teeth right here, if you take a close look, are kind of raised. If it doesn't look like it's all the same kind of piece of metal and it looks like it's kind of just attached there, it's brazed on there, and that is a carbide tip. Again, they're probably going to advertise like this, carbide tipped, but if it looks like one piece of metal, just like this, straight, it's probably just steel and not carbide. So just get the proper wheel for what it is you're going to be using it for. I'm going to start with the most common thing, I think, and the thing that this would be used most for is steel oscillating blades. So let me show you in detail how to sharpen one. So I have my blade, it's really dull. I have some gloves just to protect my hands from metal dust and my safety glasses. So let's put some new teeth on this. There is more than one way to do this, but this wheel, this is a patented wheel and it's designed this way for a reason. So you can do like I did in the beginning of the video and do 2 passes. You could do more than that if you wanted more teeth. You could do 3 passes. We're gonna try both of them. It's easier to start if you have something really dull like this, or if you have some teeth, you can grind it off and start with a flat surface, basically starting from scratch. And the way you would do that is this little slot right here. You just turn it on, take a couple passes, and get it down flat. This actually makes it easier, this wheel right here, where you can just kind of move it along like this to get those teeth off. But we'll show you this one since this is what comes standard, and we'll put some new teeth on this. Turn it on, grind it down. Something like that, and put some new teeth. Just want to hold it tight to the base and then stagger it. Try and get them even like that. And if you have any little burrs on the side, you can just try not to hit the teeth. Do something like that and something like that. And if you're doing something like flush cutting where you don't want to scratch the surface and you have a little something right here, you can just run it along like this. And that should be all you need to do. And now you have newly cut teeth on your oscillating blade. And if you look for the shine, that will let you know that that is nice and sharp. I'm actually going to take another blade that has a lot of teeth per inch, and I'm going to try and make it look just like this. This one isn't actually that bad, but for this video, I'll grind these teeth off and start over. And by the way, I think from now on, I'm going to buy blades like this, nice and fat ones, compared to this, where they have this skinny part, and then it widens up, because I could sharpen this over and over and over again. And you don't have to start over every single time. Now that I have this tooth pattern, I could carefully match it up and just sharpen it that way. And that way, I won't be wasting as much material when I grind the teeth off. And if only 1 or 2 teeth maybe hit a nail or something, you can carefully come in here and just touch it up just like this. Now we're going to grind these teeth off and make new ones and try and match this. Okay, now we're just going to be super careful. Make new teeth. Not going to go in as far. Right at the top there. There we go. That kind of looks like it did at the start. And again, if you have some burrs on the back or on the sides, you can just clean that up real quick. With a tooth pattern like this, it might be a little trickier to sharpen individual teeth, but the trick is to just try and go in nice and straight, try and have a lot of control over your blade, go in straight and pull straight out. You don't want to go on to the next tooth because that's going to basically grind off the tip of this, which is what does a lot of the cutting, or most of the cutting. So I'll give you an example of if I had a couple teeth that were in bad shape. Carefully go straight in, like that, like that. Pull straight out before I move to the next one, kind of like that. Easy peasy. Obviously, a blade that has 0 teeth left on it is not going to cut as good as a blade that has teeth on it. But I want to show you this, this, and this, the 2 different patterns. And these could potentially be sharper than the original blades because the original blades a lot of times are stamped, where these have been cut. So in real time, side by side, I'm going to show you each of these and how they cut. Here's a benefit that the Tiger's teeth has over the Sharp Pog. I'm sorry, Sharp Pog, I'm not picking on you. I'm just talking about the Tiger's teeth and how awesome it is. It can't do blades like this. With the extra grinding wheel, you can go in and sharpen all of these teeth. This is kind of limited with what you can do. Next up is carbide oscillating blades. Now, carbide is basically just metal that carbon is added to make it stronger and more heat resistant. Basically, it's just going to last a lot longer. And that's why you're seeing it a lot now, because these companies can advertise last 10 times longer, 50 times longer, and so on. But what they're doing is they're just putting a thin strip of carbide, which makes sense because this is the cutting surface, but you can sharpen them. So maybe one day somebody will come out with a carbide blade that goes all the way down. You can sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it. But for now, I would suggest grinding the teeth off once, making new teeth, and then sharpening it little by little as it dulls out, because it will last a lot longer. So just keep that in mind. And once you get down to the steel, past the carbide strip, you're just going to have to change out the wheel over to the CBN and sharpen it like that. So I'm going to show you how to change out the CBN wheel for a diamond wheel, and then I'll show you how to sharpen carbide blades. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery because I don't want to accidentally turn this on. And then I'm going to grab my handy Allen wrench, and I'm going to take this piece off so I can get that blade out. So loosen these bolts. This one and this one right here. And this will lift right up like that. And then I'm going to hold this wheel like this and loosen this up. And there's a lock washer and another washer right there. Just keep those like that. You can pull the wheel right off. If you're looking at these two wheels, they look similar, but you can tell this one is the CBN and this one is the diamond. The diamond is just a little brighter, a little more sparkly, but luckily with this one, it's marked with a blue marker. So I'll put that one on, like that, put my bolt back in. Tighten this until this starts spinning, and then I'll hold it, tighten it down. Okay, I can put this back on. One more thing before we start. When you're cutting carbide or grinding carbide, again, gloves is a good idea just for the dust. You can take them off, throw them right away. Safety glasses, and it's a good idea to wear a respirator because this can be an irritant, and if you're doing it a lot especially, I would definitely recommend it, but you do whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Now this says extreme metal on it, so I'm going to test it before and after because I'm curious to see how it's going to be. So I'm going to put a couple nails right here, just like that. And I'll cut one of them before and one after. This blade isn't too bad, but we'll see if putting new teeth on it will help. Before, not too bad. So instead of grinding these teeth all the way off, they don't look really that bad. So I'm just gonna also use this as kind of a guide as to where to put the teeth. So I'm just gonna go one by one. Remember, I can't use the other wheel because it's not diamond, this is. So let's turn it on and sharpen these teeth. Look pretty good. Let's try it out. And after. Yeah, that's sharper. So it worked. Just a little more effort when you're using just that little wheel. Pretty cool. Moving on to reciprocating saw blades. Another disposable item, once was disposable, not anymore, that goes dull really quick, and I have a ton of them that I can sharpen. So let's do a before and after test. So as you can see, from about right here to here is where I'm gonna concentrate on sharpening. But let's do a before to see how dull this blade is. So that's really dull, and I was putting a lot of pressure on that. So I'm gonna wait for this blade to cool down, and then we'll sharpen it. I changed to the flat grinding wheel. This is CBN, because this is just plain steel. Just gonna grind it for less than a second, just a quick nying, and try not to push it this way. When you're pulling it off, try and pull it straight back. So grind it, let it go back a little bit, and then pull out. Because the tip of the tooth is what does a lot of the cutting. So carefully work it in there, pull it back, pull it out. Another thing to keep in mind when you're sharpening reciprocating saw blades, if you take a close look at a good blade, you'll see that the teeth have different angles to them. So like this one, the angle goes like this, and then the next one, the angle goes opposite, like this. And then like this, and like this. So as you're sharpening them, you want to pay attention to that angle at all times and try and sharpen it right at that angle. That's going to make a big difference. And when you do this, don't push too hard. Let the wheel do the work, because you might move the machine around and any excessive force on the grinding wheels could wear them out prematurely. Let's give it a shot. And obviously, we're going to try and do these. I might have to dig in a little bit right here and then sharpen it because these are really worn down. Let's do it. And after. Yep, that's a lot better. Now, what if you have a reciprocating saw blade, like a metal blade like this, that has a lot of teeth, a really tight tooth pattern? If you look real close, you'll see they're very close together, they're very small. So I would suggest using one of these thin wheels right here. Now this is a diamond wheel, and I said you probably shouldn't use this on steel and vice versa, but for the price of these, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to wear it out faster. So it might be worth it for the price of these to repair an expensive blade or a bunch of expensive blades. And you would do the same thing. Just go in here and do a little zing, zing, zing to sharpen those. Same exact thing. And if you really have to get an angle like this, you can use the bigger wheel like this because it'll kick it away from the unit a little bit. Just keep in mind when you're doing this to take this lock washer off, which goes on the inside here, and the other wheels kind of go over that shaft and press against that lock washer. So it's not the end of the world if you leave that on there. I'm sure it'll just rattle around in there. That's it. That's how you would sharpen these really fine blades. Next up is a miter saw blade. Circular saw blades, table saw blades, all kind of the same thing. This one is a 100-tooth fine finish blade. It's like $75. So if I can bring this back to life, it won't be junk anymore. That's what I wrote on it because I gave up on it, threw it in that drawer, forgot about it. So I'll show you how it's cutting now, and we'll sharpen it, then I'll show you how it's cutting after. Yeah. That ain't good. All right. I'm gonna open a window, air this out, and then we'll sharpen that. See how we do. So 100 teeth is a lot of teeth, and that might seem like it's gonna take a long time, but really all you have to do is match the angle of the tooth, just touch the grinding wheel real quick. I have my flat wheel on here, and this is a diamond wheel because these are carbide teeth. So that's all I'm gonna do. Go in like this, just touch the wheel, and then come back out, pull it out, go on to the next tooth. But so I don't lose track, what I'm gonna do is mark the first tooth. And that way, when I go all the way around, I'll know where I can stop. So again, in here, out, pull it out, next tooth. And this is what it looks like before. I gotta hold the saw up a little bit like this. And then the next tooth would be the opposite. Like this. And like this. Now I'm back to the arrow. So, as I look down this, I see a lot of shiny metal. Missed a spot here. I'll just touch up any of these that I may have missed, and then the ultimate test is to cut with it. As I said, it might seem like it takes a long time to do that, but that only took about 5 minutes. You really just have to touch this real quick and give it a sharpen, and if you mess up a little bit, if it's not perfectly sharpened, that's the thing. It's not the end of the world, and it's going to be way better than spending another 75 bucks on a new blade. Now, the real test is, let's see how it performs after sharpening. Let's check it out. That's right through a knot. So definitely right through 2 knots. And this is a fine finish blade, but I can definitely tell it's better. Oh yeah, that's smooth. Nice. Let's try a hole saw. I know for a fact that this one is very, very dull, but let me show you. Yeah, so I had to back that out a bunch of times and put a lot of pressure just to get that hole drilled. Let's see if we can sharpen it so it does better. Let it cool first. Same idea with the hole saw. You just want to match the angle, go in like this. Make sure you don't pull it out like this and accidentally round off the tip. And just match the angle, pull it out, match the angle, pull it out. And I have my first tooth marked here, so I'll sharpen this up. Looks pretty good, pretty shiny. Some of these teeth were not in great shape. Let's test it out. I think I made that look harder than it actually was, but that cut better. Well, my battery's dying. But it definitely cut better. Last up, drill bits. The most important part of a drill bit is the top, and this can sharpen those really quickly. I know that this drill bit is very dull, so let's test it out. Again, the push pretty hard on that, but we're gonna sharpen it up so it pulls right through that wood nice and smooth. All you gotta do for this, on the side of this wheel, is just take a look at this and match that angle. That's the whole, my phrase for this whole thing. You just gotta match the angle. And all I'm gonna do is turn this on and go like this, and then this part right here. Same thing. Just like that. See how it goes. See it shine? Do the other spot. And a little bit more here. That's it. Nice and shiny. Okay. Let's see. Yep. I'd say that's better. That's awesome. So this wheel worked really well for that drill bit. If you have a drill bit that's bigger, say something like this, I would suggest using the bigger diamond wheel like this, the nice and thin one, and that'll just give you more surface area to get that to sharpen. nice. You just got to pay attention to how you sharpen these bits and make a nice point for it to cut. Just look at another drill bit and that'll help guide you to what it should look like. My final thoughts on the Tiger's Teeth blade sharpener. I love it. All of these blades that are in my drawer and all the ones that I've thrown out in the past, I can't even imagine how much money I've wasted throwing that stuff away. I don't have to anymore. Another thing I love about this is it's not intimidating to use at all. If you have a bench grinder, it's loud, it can be a little dangerous. This one, it's very easy to learn how to use and it's very DIY friendly. And since this is an honest review, here's my 2 gripes with this. The only thing that I found was as I'm pushing the blade in here or sometimes in here, this tends to move around. It has these little rubber feet, so this can just move around on your bench. But since I love this so much, it's not going to be a big deal to just put a piece of wood on the sides and lock it in place. I could even make a little platform for it that I can move around if I wanted to. So that's not a huge deal. The other one is it would be nice to have a spindle lock for this for when you're removing the wheel. You shouldn't crank down on this wheel anyways, but that's my only other gripe. Other than that, this thing is awesome. So thanks again, James, for sending this out to me, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. And if you want one, you can click the link in the description. Keep in mind that at no extra cost to you, I will get a small commission from that. I'm all about transparency here. If you want to see another video like this, you can click on the screen. It'll pop up somewhere around here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.